The howling began long before dawn, rising from the forest like a warning carried on ice-cold wind. It was not the lonely cry of a single wolf, but a chorus, layered, relentless, circling, so vast it seemed to wrap the mountain itself. Inside a small log cabin high in the American Rockies, a woman jolted awake, heart pounding, knowing with certainty that froze her blood. This night would decide everything. Outside, the snow glowed faintly under the moon and beyond the fence line. Shadows moved where shadows should not be. Nearly 100 wolves had descended, and between them and the sheep she loved stood only her courage, her faith, and a choice she never thought she'd have to make. If you believe in the silent hero, in second chances, and in the kind of courage that rises without applause, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in quiet strength, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories find the hearts that need them most. Her name was Rebecca Lawson, a Christian woman in her mid-40s who had chosen a life few could endure. After losing her husband to a sudden illness years earlier, Rebecca left the noise of town behind and moved into the mountains of the United States with nothing but grief, a small inheritance, and a stubborn hope that solitude could heal what words could not. She bought a weathered cabin and a modest flock of sheep, believing that tending life, feeding, protecting, nurturing, might teach her how to live again. Mountain winters were unforgiving, but Rebecca learned. She learned the language of snow and wind, the patterns of animals, the patience required to wait out storms that did not care how tired she was. Her sheep were more than livestock. They were purpose. Each morning she prayed before stepping outside, asking for protection not just for herself, but for the fragile lives entrusted to her. Wolves were part of the mountain's truth. Rebecca respected them, understood their role, and prepared for encounters. She reinforced fences, installed lights, kept her dogs trained and alert. She had never seen a pack this large. Not here. Not ever. That night, the dogs barked with a pitch she had never heard. Rebecca pulled on boots and coat, grabbed a lantern, and stepped onto the porch. The sound hit her like a wall. Eyes gleamed in the darkness. Dozens, then more, moving with intelligence and hunger. The sheep huddled together, sensing the danger. They're bleeding thin and terrified against the roar of the pack. Fear threatened to take her knees out. Rebecca felt the instinct to run, to hide, to let nature take its course. But faith is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of it. She whispered a prayer, steadying her breath, and remembered the night she begged God for a reason to keep going. This was it. She did not reach for a gun. Rebecca knew the violence would only escalate what was already teetering on the edge of chaos. Wolves were not evil. They were desperate. The winter had been harsh, prey scarce, territories disrupted. Killing one might provoke the rest. Doing nothing would doom her flock. She needed another way. She lit every lantern she had and dragged them outside, placing them along the fence line, creating a ring of moving light. She started the generator and turned on the old radio speakers she used for storms, flooding the night with human sound, music, static, noise that signaled presence and unpredictability. The wolves hesitated, pacing, testing. Still, they pressed closer. Rebecca's heart hammered as she remembered something an old rancher once told her. Wolves respect strength that is calm, boundaries that do not flinch. She climbed onto the fence platform and stood tall, lantern raised high, her silhouette clear against the snow. She did not shout. She did not run. She stood. Then she did something that seemed impossible in that moment. She walked forward, step by careful step. Rebecca moved along the fence line, eyes scanning the darkness, posture steady, voice low as she recited scripture she had learned as a child. Not as a spell, but as an anchor. The dogs flanked her, alert and disciplined. The lights flickered. The music carried. The wolves watched. Minutes stretched into something eternal. One wolf, a massive alpha with a scarred muzzle, stepped forward, testing the boundary. Rebecca stopped. She held her ground. She did not stare down with anger, but with presence. The wind cut through her coat. Her legs trembled. She stayed. Slowly, impossibly, the alpha turned away. A ripple moved through the pack. Confusion. Recalculation. Hunger warred with caution. One by one, Shadows pulled back into the trees, the howling fading into distance until only the wind remained. Rebecca collapsed to her knees in the snow, tears freezing on her lashes. The sheep were alive, shaken but alive. She stayed outside until dawn, guarding the quiet, knowing the night had changed something inside her forever. The days that followed were heavy with exhaustion and awe. Wildlife officers later confirmed that a rare convergence of packs had occurred due to extreme conditions, an anomaly dangerous and unpredictable. Neighbors came to check on her, astonished to find her flock intact. Word spread. People asked how she did it. Rebecca never claimed heroism. She said only that she listened, prepared, and trusted God to guide her steps. But the mountain remembered. After that night, the wolves never returned in such numbers. The sheep thrived. Rebecca strengthened her land with non-lethal deterrence, sharing what she learned with others who lived nearby. She spoke at local churches and community meetings about coexistence, about courage that doesn't seek conquest, about protecting life without feeding hatred. More importantly, Rebecca found herself healing. The fear that once ruled her nights loosened its grip. She slept deeper. She laughed again. Caring for her sheep no longer felt like a desperate attempt to survive grief, but a calling. She began mentoring younger women who felt broken by loss, teaching them skills and reminding them that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it stands quietly and refuses to move. One winter evening, months later, Rebecca stood on her porch as snow fell softly, the mountains hushed and holy. She thought of the wolves, of hunger and balance, and of the night she chose courage over panic. She understood now that saving her sheep had also saved something in herself. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that bravery can be gentle and faith can be fierce, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that honor the silent hero. Before the story ends, leave a comment below sharing what this journey made you feel, or write one word that represents courage to you. Because sometimes when the night is loud with fear and the odds feel overwhelming, the bravest thing we can do is stand our ground, quietly, faithfully, and let the world change around us.